Hey everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. How are you today? It is Tuesday, May 31st, 2016. All right, people, let's put a little light or more light on what I believe is an incredibly massive stock market bubble that again has been hyperinflated on the back of a debt bubble which is truly out of control. So here's the perspective I want to start off with. It's pretty simple. We have today, despite the Dow Jones Industrial Average being down triple digits as I'm doing this video blog, we have a stock market which is very close to all-time record highs. Meanwhile, this earnings season is just coming to a close, and this earnings season just happens to be the worst that we have seen in nearly 7 years. Does that sound normal to you? Let's put that into perspective one more time. We have a stock market that is at very close to all-time record highs, and we have pretty much the worst earnings season that we have seen in nearly 7 years. Something is wrong. Something is not meshing here. Now, let's talk about financial engineering and why this market right now is doing what it should not be doing. Again, a stock market at near all-time record high, earnings season the worst in about 7 years. I have spoken about this so many times, but I want to put a new perspective on this, I think. Let's try here. If you were to turn on the financial channels, they're going to talk about all kinds of perspectives and how you should be looking at this market. As a matter of fact, if you were to turn on the mainstream right now, I believe you're going to see some of those pundits out there saying, oh, no, use this as a buying opportunity, that the market is lower. What companies have been doing to keep their stock prices elevated is nothing short of financial engineering to an extreme. Let's put that into a perspective here. Again, turn on the mainstream and you're going to hear what companies are doing. And it's kind of funny, the term that they use. Let's say they're talking about company XYZ. They're saying, oh, company XYZ is spinning off a particular portion of their assets. Spinning off. What does spinning off mean? Well, they're not throwing a frisbee. They're selling assets. These companies are selling assets. Why would they be doing this? Well, it's pretty simple. To buy back shares of their own stock to keep the stock price elevated. You got that? It's incredible. Again, let's put that into perspective. We keep hearing about these large companies spinning off assets, or they won't tell you they're selling them. It's a spin-off. Oh, so it's a spin-off. It's not so bad, no. They're selling assets to buy back their own stock to keep their stock price elevated. What else does this mean? So if these companies are selling off assets, spinning them off, okay, buying back their own stock, that means they're not investing capital to grow these companies. What does that mean in the grand scheme of things moving forward? Well, if there's no capital investment and these companies are simply spinning off assets, selling them to buy back shares of stock, what does that mean for growth moving forward? You do not have to be a freaking rocket scientist to understand this. Look, this stock market bubble, again, is an illusion. And I can't stress this enough. And we're hearing from more and more pretty lofty mainstream people out there about how, again, all of this is about to play out. We heard from Alan Greenspan just a day or two ago, who's talking about the dangers lurking in this stock market. We heard from Bill Gross. We've heard from Robert Schiller, Carl Icahn. You want to go on and on. Greg Mannarino, Peter Schiff, Greg Hunter. There's lots of guys out here that are trying to put a perspective on this, but people don't get it. The average person just sits there and they look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average and they think that everything is okay. Meanwhile, again, they have absolutely no ability to understand why the stock market is doing what it's doing, and it's pretty simple. Again, these companies are selling assets, buying back shares of their own stock to keep the market higher. This cannot work out well in the longer term, people. Again, why? There's no capital investments. When have you heard about this? Company XYZ investing in this to grow. You don't hear about that even on the mainstream. So you can understand this is a major setup for a huge, huge move lower in this market. There's no doubt about it. None whatsoever. All of this is going to correct to fair value. I can't stress that enough. And it's going to be epic. Absolutely freaking epic here. So again, the financial engineering that we're seeing in this market can only go so far. Let me talk about a couple of other things. So world central banks have used extraordinary measures. This is the Federal Reserve's own words, extraordinary measures to try to prop up this economy. In other words, to try to stimulate growth. They haven't stimulated anything. All they've done is increase the global debt to Frankenstein levels. Frankenstein levels to help pull the stock market with it. There's all kinds of criminal activity going on in the crude oil or energy sector. Again, and I've covered how they played this out in an interview I just did with Greg Hunter, USA Watchdog. If you have not seen the interview that I just did with Greg Hunter, USA Watchdog, go to Greg Hunter's channel and have a listen to it. I am more than certain you will find that enlightening. So again, we exist in an environment of not just financial engineering, but financial crime to keep all of this propped up. And we seem to be very close to an inflection point here, people. It can only go so far. Central banks cannot stimulate growth. They've been throwing everything they can at these markets worldwide. It has done nothing. All it has done, again, is inflate this massive debt bubble, pull the stock market with it. Companies are engaging, again, in, there's no other way to put it, financial engineering to keep their stock prices higher, selling assets, buying shares back, not investing capital in growth. So what does that mean for jobs? You think about it. I'm not even going to talk about it because it's just a no-brainer. You can understand where this is going. People, look, there is no other way around it. And I think about it constantly. Despite what we've been seeing here with regard to the stock market, again, at or near all-time highs, and none of this is real. It's being faked across the board. And there's going to be a terrible price to pay for this. I can't stress that enough. It's going to happen, whether it's an hour from now, a week from now, or a month from now. The longer they postpone this, the longer they continue to prop this up through financial engineering and financial crime, the worse the correction to fair value is going to be. They are well aware of this. And it goes back to my premise. The middle class is going to be exterminated when this whole thing comes to realization. There's no way out of it. None at all. And I believe, again, sincerely, this is why we have the militarization of the police, why we are one nation under surveillance at this point. And the extremes that they are going to go to, or the lengths they're going to go to keep the public, well, from overtaking everything. Again, the cries are going to be so great from the middle class that is going to be devastated at the end of this, when this bubble bursts. I cannot envision a way that they're not going to have to institute martial law. I know how bad this sounds, and I don't want to sit here and sound like a doomer or a gloomer, but if one of you out here can figure a way out of it, well, then let me know. I guarantee you there's going to be more than one individual that's going to put a comment on this video and say, oh, this is a doomer, this is a gloomer. But meanwhile, they're not going to offer any solution. So when you see a comment like that, which you will on this video, understand you're hearing from someone who is deluded, who has no conception of market dynamics and how this works. So maybe we should have a little pity on them. I don't know. You handle them how you want to. But it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the negative comments here, because I asked these people who are going to put a negative comment here um, a simple question. Right, instead of writing something frankly asinine, write what you believe would be a solution here. I know a lot of you out here who've been with me for years are more than aware of how this is going to play out and how it seems to be unfolding right now. Again, the financial crime and financial engineering to keep this market propped up can only go so far. There is going to be a point where this rolls. When is that? Who freaking knows? And frankly, we just need to be aware of that it is going to happen with no possible way around it. This is a global issue, people. It's not just here in the United States. We keep hearing about the issue of a global slowdown. And we understand what's going on in South America right now. People are eating dogs and cats in the street in Venezuela um, because of the failed economic policies. We're talking about a country here that is awash in oil. And they're facing a resource issue, people, something I've been warning about for years upon years upon years. This global debt bubble, people, is the greatest threat to humankind. The greatest threat to humankind because it has inflated a population bubble. A population boom has ensued with the debt bubble that has been inflated by world central banks over many, many decades. The debt bubble is going to burst, people, and we're going to see a correction in human population. This is occurring right now on a micro scale, if you want to put it that way, in Venezuela and in other parts of South America. This is going to engulf the world, right here in the United States as well. As a matter of fact, it may hit here in the United States worse than anywhere else, because people are going to be absolutely blindsided by what is coming here. Again, don't just listen to me. Listen to Alan Greenspan. Alan Greenspan is talking about this, a major economic event, collapse. He's calling it collapse in the Western world. No, it's not going to be a collapse. It's simply a correction to fair value. This is something I've been trying to talk about for the longest time. Bill Gross warning about the same thing here. Carl Icahn. You could go on and on. Robert Schiller. There's a lot of mainstream guys out there, pretty smart, who are trying to forewarn of what is coming here. This cannot be sustained. This environment of financial fakery cannot be sustained by any means. This is how we know that we're in a bubble, people. Understand the extremes that they're going through right now to keep this bubble inflated is only going to lead to a greater correction, a quicker and more devastating correction moving forward in this market. And again, the middle class is done. And if you're a member of the middle class right now, I'm going to warn you once again, you have no idea, more than likely, of the hardships you're going to be facing moving forward when this thing comes down. Everything you've worked for is going to be taken from you. The banks will not lose. The central banks colluding with their respective governments are well aware of what is coming, people. And they're not going to lose. You are going to lose, period. And you got to start getting with the program and understanding how this is going to play out. You have to do it. There's no way out of it. All right, with that said, I know this is getting awfully long, but I think I covered some important things here with regard to the financial engineering that's going on. Let that sink in a little bit. And if these concepts are a little difficult, watch the video twice. It's free. Why not? With that said, I'll see you all soon.